The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And this is a live show. No, it's not a holiday.
It's
no
not
rerun
a holiday,
today.
No rerun.
No rerun today. But
it is a live broadcast.
And before it's talking live and talking about lies. But before that, we want to hit the Housing Authority tries again.
Yep.
And then we can go right into our lies, lies, and more lies segment.
And, you know, as many of our viewers will remember, about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, we presented the statements from the mayor and from Representative Alan Sylvia, which Representative Sylvia took offense that the comments were taken out of context. So I need to make that clear that he feels they were taken out of context, and quite probably they were. But the problem is that they were still said. And any way you look at it, you say it, you own it. But the Weston Group decided not to purchase the Riverview Towers. So their sale fell through. Or Weston Associates. So they've withdrawn their offers. So now they have to start the whole RFP process all over again. The thing that I find funny is, remember how the mayor kept saying that the city will not do project-based housing? Okay. At issue, said the executive director, the acting executive director, Tom Collins, is the replication of affordable housing that was lost with the demolition of Watuppa Heights, and a 2006 lawsuit brought against DHCD, which is the Department of Housing and Community Development, and the Housing Authority by the Massachusetts Law Reform Institute on behalf of the residents living in the housing project at the time. The city agreed to replicate what had been 100 units of low-income properties.
But who cares? Even though they made an agreement, they don't care about agreements.
That's right. So the DHCD is saying that the city is not fulfilling its obligations.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Did they name the drink after him, or was he named after the drink?
Now wait, it gets even better.
Okay.
The Housing Authority isn't necessarily looking to locate the 150 project-based vouchers. Wait a minute, the city's not doing project-based, remember?
Yeah.
Only in Fall River, he said. But they will also be looking for takers in other communities.
Yeah.
Isn't that what the mayor said he didn't want?
Yeah, fat chance of that, right?
Isn't that what the mayor said he didn't want?
Yeah, but the mayor said there was also going to be no road. You know, politicians say a lot of things, and we all know what politicians and political lackeys all say. They lie, and lie again, which segues into now the lying and the constant lying of the big money, the big out-of-town money that's financing this debt exclusion. And, of course, we all know that what happens to people who try to set the record straight, you get invited to give the differing opinion and give some facts, and you're not allowed to present the facts. You're interrupted, you're talked over, and then they shut you off without warning and say, okay, program's over, see you later. Then they have weathermen that live on a New Hampshire border calling in and basically lying. Every single thing about this thing is basically manipulations of actual fact. This morning there were commercials again on the Radio Pravda, whose owner is the chairman of a side. So of course they're unbiased. Again, talking about how if we don't approve this, we are not going to be able to build this school. We're going to lose the money, and which is an absolute untruth.
I like the way you said untruth instead of lie.
Well, yeah, we're going to have to use a few different things. People are going to get tired of hearing lies, misrepresentations. We're going to have to use some other euphemisms for what they're doing. But look, we know that. We know that the $98 million that they keep talking about is not actually $98 million. It's actually, when you add all the interests and you look at their own presentation, which by the way was pathetic, it comes out to 300 and I just wrote it down on the bottom of that page. $363,624,900. That's a lot of money. And now they're talking about, oh, you know, the renovation is $140. We're not going to get any money. Well, you know, last time I checked, $147 was cheaper. But that's not the point. The law about debt exclusions doesn't say you have to have, I mean, the law about, the debt exclusion doesn't say that you have to have a debt exclusion. The MSBA doesn't say that. They say that you have to fully fund the project that you're attempting to get reimbursement for. Doesn't say you need a debt exclusion. You can pay for it any way you want. The criteria is it has to be fully funded, including the state's portion, by the entity who's requesting the money. And now we get back to the other thing, and the Facebook commandos who said that there was something wrong, and my head got knocked off or something. We got interrupted by the obsequious lackeys that do the bidding of their boss and owner. And let's set the record straight. I was invited no less than 10 minutes after I was subjected to a phone call and a verbal assault of how I was a troublemaker and we'll use the word defecation because they'll get to me for saying that, stirrer, and so my response was a few expletives which I can't say, and I said, well, you can't have a differing opinion. And then no less than 10 minutes later, and by the way, I have a witness who listened to every single word. I happened to be working out with this individual. And so when I got the call and they didn't know the number, I put it on speakerphone. So I heard every word. Then 10 minutes later, I got a call from Alan Zarek, and I've got these calls on still on my phone, the Times, inviting me to come in and in his words, explain to the good people your position. Then I go on, and I can't explain anything. I'm being talked over. I'm being interrupted. He's saying that what I'm saying isn't true, and I don't have any time to. All I have to do is respond to attacks rather than. So let me just show you how badly. We talked about, oh, your website is misleading.
I have to interrupt you for a second
okay.
there. Currently, School Superintendent Malone is speaking live on Channel 18 in regards to the school building. The mayor is right behind him. And guess who's standing on the side, the right hand of the mayor? Yeah, the right hand of the mayor.
The right hand of the mayor.
Take a shot in the dark.
Karam.
Nope.
No?
Nope.
Shot.
I don't care who lives here.
Oh, yeah, well, he doesn't care because he just got $35,000 for being on a committee.
And, of course, they've got all the little students surrounding him.
Yeah.
Now, here's my thing. I know it's a vacation week, but he's opening up this school to the public while students are there.
Yeah.
I have a problem with that.
Look.
We just went through this last week. It's not even a week ago.
Yeah. No, we understand it. And the thing is, but this is the thing, we get called to give our opinion, then we get interrupted. So one of the first things he said was our website, which I had nothing to do with putting it up, said it was a Proposition 2.5 override. And it's not. It's a debt exclusion. And, there's a difference. Do you know the difference? Yeah, I do know the difference, but there's actually no difference. It's semantics. They're all forms of 2.5 override. A debt exclusion allows you to override the restrictions of 2.5, but it's for a limited period. Now, to prove the point, because unlike Rick Oliveira, who we invited here, did we not?
Nobody takes us up on our office.
Yeah, we invited him to be here, and we won't interrupt him, but we will prove that everything he says is wrong. Talked about it's not an override. It is a form of override. There are other forms too. If you go on If you Google debt exclusion in Massachusetts, you'll get all kinds of. You can read for hours about the various forms, how a levy limit is created, and all the other stuff. But here we go. CJ, let's see if we can we home in on this? Can we see this a little bit?
Give me a second.
Okay, now we're good. Okay, great. Now, you can go online and get this, and this is a start. And look at the dates on these things. This is a Finance Committee presentation to the Board of Selectmen for this fiscal year, 2019's debt exclusion discussion, and it was last month. This was presented. Now, this not only is proof, but it's a stock example of the difference that real communities that care about the people in it give their town councils and their city councils and their voters and taxpayers accurate information. I have a few of these, and I'm going to talk about them tomorrow. But the fact is that this is an example. This is about 47. I don't know if this is the 47 page or the.
That's the 53 page.
Or the 53 page. This is a 53 page long report. 53 pages with bar graphs and the effect on the bond rating and everything else in here. And the long-term effects and the pros and the cons given from a financial perspective and done in a totally unbiased way so people can make a decision. But here's what I want to show you. Zoom in on this a little bit again. Okay, we can see this. Okay, now if the next page, you can see Town of Wayland, Massachusetts debt exclusion hearing. This is the introduction. And then on the next page, we see debt exclusion hearing again. Then we see debt exclusion hearing again. And then look at this page. What does it say? Debt exclusion on the top, but what does it say down here? The pros and cons of an override. Ricky boy, it's an override. Whether it's temporary or not, the issue here is to examine the financial impact it has on the community, because the two criteria that people should be deciding is the financial impact on the community and the individuals in that community. Nobody's contesting the fact that we need a building. This isn't about the building. We all agree. You're going to walk everybody around the building and show them it needs replacing. Well, guess what? Great. You're going to show us something we already know. This question is not about that. It's about money. It's about how we pay for it. That's why we had a 53-page report in a small community to give everybody accurate information.
How many did you get?
Look at the presentation that Fall River did. Look at this and go compare it. This is what the city council got. Look at this. And they made the numbers big so they could have a few more pages. And then you look at what they talk about misleading. Oh, it's 98 million. Oh, it's 98 million. And they got total project cost, 98,500,000. Then you go to another page and it gives you the actual cost of the debt. And it talks about the full cost. Total cost of debt service.
Show it to us, Chip.
Okay. Hey, look at okay, get it? Look at those numbers, everybody. Look at those numbers. Look at those numbers.
Turn it a little more this way. The other way. Yep. Nope, the other way.
Okay.
There you go. Leave it just like that. Beautiful. Everyone can read them now.
Total cost. I wrote the total cost down at the bottom when I added all the numbers. There's your total cost. That's the total cost.
$181,000.
But remember what our crack financial team told you. It's apples and oranges. We don't talk about the interest, even though it added more than $100 million to the debt that they're saying. or $100 million to the debt, because guess what? You don't worry about interest when you pay your bills, right? Nick, Chris, let's go, buddy. Everybody call Bay Coast and tell them, hey, Nick, if I get a mortgage, I don't have to pay the interest, right? All I pay is the principal. That's absolute. The misrepresentation is just mind-boggling. Because look, I'll go back to this page again, and look what's critical here. Okay, I got to get this camera's backward. Okay, see what it says there in giant letters? Total cost of the debt service. That means that's what we're going to pay. Only in Fall River do they tell you and continue to tell you that we're paying $98 million, even though they put it on paper, and these aren't our figures. We didn't make this up. This is their presentation to the city council. This is the total cost of the debt. And as I said, but this is what they show you. Pictures, pretty pictures. Oh, isn't that pretty? Oh, isn't it wonderful? We're going to wreck this city financially for a pretty building. And when we go back to that study from Wayland, and I urge all of you, because CJ and I didn't make this up, like this is, you can go on and Google this. Again, we'll zoom in. Okay, this is the pros and cons of requiring an override, Rick. It's still an override, Rick. Okay, this is it. Pros, override decisions are decided at the polls where there can be greater and more convenient participation. Now, that's only true if you get full disclosure and accurate information. Having the voters vote on an issue when they've been misled, and the proponents of this control the media, that's not a pro. It's actually a con. The expenses are capped because it's the law. Now, let's look at the cons. This is what they don't tell you. It creates inflexibility in budgeting. That means that after we adopt this, we are going to have budgetary more than we already have. And this is the biggie. Look at the second one. This will have a negative effect on Moody's rating, our bond rating, which means that we're not only paying more than we need for this, we are going to have to pay more for bonds because this is going to have a negative impact. And oh, by the way, the average bonds in this state are normally 10 to 20 years. Only places like Fall River bond for 30 years. It's kind of like buying the car. You know what they tell people who can't afford a car? They don't tell you this car is like $25,000. They go, I can get you in this car for $150 a month. You're going to pay it for 100 years. And your children and your grandchildren are going to be paying a car payment, and we don't care how that adversely affects your budget later on down the line. But they don't tell you about the real cost. They don't tell you about total cost. The first thing they tell you is when they're selling you a bill of goods is they reduce it down to a small number. 31 cents a day. Forget about the already 2.5 increases and all the other things that we've gone over a million times. You know, it's like buying a car. You go into a dealership, they sell these kids right out of high school cars. I can get you in this car. Get this 5-liter Mustang. I can put you in this car for only $300 a month. You're making $300 a month on your part-time job, right? Yeah, lose your part-time job. They repossess it. See you later. You know, this is the tactic. But the only problem is they will repossess your home. They will put you out in the street. Because, again, this is not about a building. When you're walking around Durfee with their forum, and they're showing you how badly this building needs to be repaired, remember one thing. It's not about that. It's about how we pay. And remember another very important thing, because I know the new thing is, look at the pretty picture. Look how beautiful this place is going to be. What's the lifespan of the building?
40 to 50 years.
40 to 50 years, just like this building. So don't tell me that's a show, that's going to be the show place, the crown jewel of Fall River, because in 20 years, it'll be a building halfway to extinction. It'll no longer be a crown jewel. So this propaganda campaign by the rich and wealthy, and by the way, when you ask Nick Crisp if you can go to Bay Coast and not pay the interest, you're going to have to go to Swansea. Because as soon as he could, he got out of the city. He doesn't live in Fall River anymore. He lives in Dartmouth. And he moved the headquarters of Bay Coast Bank from Fall River to Swansea.
Better taxes.
But they don't, that's the other thing. They have a total disregard for the city. They don't care. They got money and they don't care about poor people, just like they didn't do in 1880-something when what's his name, Sweeney testified for. They don't care about the poor. It's like, hey, you know what their attitude is? You don't like it, move to Russia. You don't like it, sell your house and leave. Well, where are you going to go?
Here's what's going on over at Durfee right now. Chris Garvin was speaking. Chris Garvin's a former failed school committee candidate.
Yep.
And now they've got a Durfee Jr. speaking. My question is, did they get authorizations from the parents for the Durfee Jr. to be videotaped? You need that. Student Privacy Act.
Yeah, but hey,
it's the law. Who cares? It's Fall River.
Yeah, that's right. But who cares? But then again, what is this about? It's about everything but the reality of what.
Exactly.
If you read about what you're supposed to look at when you're looking at a proposition over 2.5 override or any form of it like a debt exclusion, this is what this is about. This Finance Committee presentation to the Board of Selectmen in the town of Wayland didn't have any pictures of the project. Didn't show whatever they were trying to replace, that nothing. It was all about finances. It was all about money. 53 pages. Its impact on the bond rating, its impact on the finances of the community, the impact about how it's going to affect the citizens. Because if you read about these things, the only consideration should be the financial impact. This is a referendum on finance, not the school buildings. And then they portray we don't like children. Well, you don't like old people. Because the majority of people in this community, the largest percentage of people in this community are over 65. And I've got the stats, and I'll go over them tomorrow.
Oh, here we go again. Stats, and more stats.
And actually, I called the retirement board the other day to see how many people who are retired are living on less than $25,000 a year. That's before taxes, by the way. 60% of the retirees in the city of Fall River are living on less than $25,000 a year.
It's no wonder some of them are losing their houses.
And most of these people worked for 30 and 40 years for the city of Fall River. They made the tragic mistake of living too long and watching their pensions being eroded by endless taxes, and like we've seen, and then to have somebody. And I know that because when I talked about the superintendent's statement, I was told, well, he apologized. No, he didn't apologize. He said, I may have, I may have, I forgot the word he used, but it wasn't even an apology. I may have,
I said it, I owned it.
And
I may have said something that offended.
I may have offended. I may have offended some people. No, you did more than that. You're a carpetbagger. You come in from Roslindale every night, grab your 200 grand salary, and run back to Roslindale. You didn't offend people. You insulted them. You demeaned them.
The mayor just stated, I have to interrupt you again.
Yeah.
The mayor just said that there are no sprinklers in Durfee High School. Is that correct?
There's no sprinklers in Durfee High School.
Right.
If he says there's no sprinklers, there's no sprinklers. There's standpipes, there's a box, actually, when I was there, I don't know, it was a long time since I was at Durfee, District 1, there were 3 boxes at Durfee.
Right.
Three fire alarm panels. It had the fire protection system that was required when it was done. Now, I don't know what they've done since then. It's been, I don't know. The last time I was in District 1 was, I don't know, I made chief in 80, 85. I went in the car. I don't know. I was out of car 2 in
But can you see what they're doing here?
Yeah, no, but look. Why is that relevant now? If that was an issue, why didn't we talk about this, from the get-go? If it was that critical, you're going to build a new building. It's going to be up to code supposedly, and that's not the issue. The issue is everything else. We're going to have children who don't pay taxes, people who are. By the way, most of those kids that are speaking will get a high school diploma, go on to college, and leave the city of Fall River.
Exactly.
It's not a mistake that we have only 14% of our population that has baccalaureate degrees. It's not that only 14% of the people who graduated from Durfee got degrees. I know my son and daughter's class, there were a whole bunch of people that went on to college and got degrees, bachelor's and beyond, and graduate degrees. None of them are here. That's the issue, and the issue is this is not about all this stuff. This is all peripheral issues. But we don't live in a vacuum. The reality is this is about money, and they're going to do everything they can to keep the narrative about everything but money. This is a dog and pony show. It's like mom and apple pie. But forget about the people who are living on 25. Tell them to move out of the city. Disrespect what they gave to this city. People who put on a uniform and protected this community from crime for 30, 40 years and are now living on peanuts. Firefighters who put their lives on the line. DCM people, DPW at the time, who picked up barrels in every kind of weather. People who went to work every day in City Hall and collected your taxes. And to this day, there are people making peanuts. As a matter of fact, there are people in there. One person who just retired because she got ill, her pension's like $14,000. She was only making $30-some thousand after 24 years of working for the city. And while we give out $40,000 pay raises and $30,000 pay raises, greater than these people's annual salary, and we completely disregard the fact that these are the average people in Fall River. These are the people that you're imposing this burden on. And guess what? None of those people are speaking. It's children who don't have an income or rich people who don't care.
All right, well, we're coming to the end of our program. I know there's a lot more we need to discuss, and we're going to do that on Friday. But tomorrow night, 6:30, right here on Channel 95, also on Facebook Live, is a forum between, in this corner, we've got Chip Camara, and in that corner, we've got Paul Coogan. And together, they're going to bang heads and talk about this question. Well, so make sure you watch tomorrow, Channel 95 at 6:30.
Well, the only good thing about that is we won't be interrupted, but Paul and I go back a long way. We're friends. We have a different opinion, but it's not personal.
Well, that's a good thing that it's not personal. But again, the mayor's over there playing us the sympathy card, but he's sending our children to a school that's not safe, I guess.
Yeah, where did he go to school?
Oh, he went to Conley.
Oh, thank you.